All right, so I just had to create a part 3 of our immune system toolkit. And yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's part 3. So I hope that you get a lot out of this part 3. We're going to wrap up with some botanicals and supplements that actually calm down the immune system once it's been revved up. So I hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Family Health Revolution podcast with Coach Carla Atherton, where she discovers, uncovers, explores, and reveals the secrets to true family health and wellness.
All right, so we need to wrap up this whole series of the toolkit with a part 3. And this part 3 is actually going to be where it might be a little bit overwhelming because there are many more solutions and suggestions for different aspects of contracting a viral infection or having an immune system that is actually being ramped up by it. Not necessarily suppressed, which we talked about before. And all the different supplements we talked about before they're designed for immune system, really like a balanced immune system and one that works well. And so it's not going to ramp anything up. But if your immune system is ramped up, we can do additional things that can calm it down, like reduce collateral damage, that sort of thing. So we're going to talk about a few more things. And basically, it's going to be sort of like a listing of these specific botanicals and nutrients that you can. I highly recommend looking into them, doing some research on your own part, because I will not be able to discuss each and every one of them in great detail in this session, but these are options for you. All right, so again, what I said at the end of part 2 of this series, and I highly encourage you to listen to Immunity 101, listen to the Toolkit part 1, the Toolkit part 2, in addition to the one that you're listening to right here, right now, which is part 3. But at the end of part 2, I talked about, when we don't want to boost the immune system, and I introduced the idea of the cytokine storm, which is an inappropriate or exaggerated immune response that is caused by rapidly proliferating and highly activated T cells or natural killer cells. That's part of the immune system. So the immune system's really like on high alert, causing like global or even inflammation in just specific areas. So that's when we have like this shortness of breath, can't breathe. It's like the infection, it feels like it's taking over the entire body. But it really isn't like it's like this huge invasion of everywhere. It's really the immune system's response to trying to knock that down. That's what's going on there. It's releasing all of these chemicals that are telling the cells, telling the body what to do and sending out all the infiltrate or, the medics, everything's just haywire. So there's a couple of things that that can actually help to mitigate that response, and a couple of them that reduce the cytokine storm, and some of them are sulfurophane, and that's actually comes from broccoli. Actually, those sulfuric high sulfur vegetables, and so those would be like broccoli and cauliflower. But sulfurophane comes from broccoli itself. So broccoli powder, berberine, which is also antimicrobial, also helps with blood sugar control and regulation, and melatonin, which is also a master antioxidant. So we want to get those antioxidants in there. If there are other antioxidants that you know of or come across, please do research those and see if they might be appropriate for you as well. We've got things like curcumin, which actually is on my longer heavy hitter list. And curcumin has been shown to have many, many, many benefits, including this topic that we're talking about right here, which is the immune system, its role in the immune system. And there are other botanicals like yarrow, cayenne, garlic, ginger, red raspberry, and Chinese skullcap. And there's actually another botanical I actually want to mention, which is not really something that you see kind of out there that we hear about all that much, is Andrographis. And you can get that at any health food store as well. So again, take that list and have a look at some of them and their applications and what they're really what they kind of shine for, what function they do within the body as phytotherapy. And again, we talked about essential oils already. I would actually add to the list tea tree oil. I'm not sure if actually I did mention tea tree oil in the last episode, so I want to mention that there and give some props to tea tree. And then, curcumin, NAD is, very important. So it improves it improves NADPH production, which reduces the oxidation of vitamin C and glutathione. So we don't want those to be oxidized. We want them to work properly. So using those things in conjunction can actually buffer any ill effects, as well as improve the effects of vitamin C and the master antioxidant glutathione. Magnesium. So the benefit of that, to adding this into your simple plan, would be for vitamin C metabolism, right? So in fact, magnesium is involved in the metabolism of most vitamins and minerals and needs vitamin D3 for proper utilization. So super important. Magnesium is part of our daily regimen. You just get a really good product, a magnesium product, get some advice from your local people in the health food store that are educated in this field, or your provider, or whoever you choose to trust that knows enough about this information. But the minerals are really important, and in particular magnesium. You can also, so you can take it to bowel tolerance. I don't know, some of the forms of magnesium can give you loose bowels. People actually use magnesium to get the bowels going at times too. But you can also absorb magnesium, especially if you've got children, you don't want to give them a bunch of stuff. You can absorb it through Epsom salt baths. So you just sit in the tub and put some Epsom salts in there. I want to talk a little bit about respiratory support. So N-acetylcysteine, I've actually heard it once described by a practitioner as lung food. So really important. NAC is one of the three precursors or building blocks for glutathione, which is the master antioxidant. You can take glutathione straight up, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, but you can take also the precursor to that. One of them is N-acetylcysteine, and I have heard that it has been banned, but I can find it in health food stores wherever I go. So look for it. You may be able to find it online or find it in your health food store. So the three building blocks of glutathione are NAC, N-acetylcysteine, right? Glycine. And we have a real epidemic of being low in glycine because of the glyphosate poisoning that we are experiencing as a global community. Because the glyphosate will take up the receptor sites of glycine, rendering our cells glycine deficient. So again, then we don't have the building blocks for glutathione. So we're always going upstream. Okay, so I don't want to boggle your mind. Okay, so we're going to go back to three precursors to glutathione: NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine, glycine, and glutamine. Okay, so those three things. We need those three things in our bodies to make glutathione. I always want people to use the precursors and have their body make it. But you can, skip ahead and take liposomal glutathione to improve your levels of glutathione, whether it be temporarily or long-term, depending on what you decide and what your particular needs are. I'm going to get to that in just a second, to the glutathione. But in the category of respiratory support, we've got NAC, we've got serrapeptidase, or serratiopeptidase. They're the same thing. They are an enzyme. Licorice, and of course the essential oils, but On Guard, Breathe, eucalyptus, peppermint, and I'm sure there are more for respiratory support. And again, propolis, again, HOCl by Briotech, and there is a mixture that Dr. Brownstein, and I hesitate to mention this because I haven't actually done this one yet, and everything else I've done. But there's a mixture online you can find, Dr. Brownstein's mixture of iodine, low concentration peroxide, and saline that is used in a nebulizer, and he's got a recipe and a way to use it. So if you're interested in a sort of a nebulized form, have a look at that. As in addition to the HOCl and the propolis that you can use in a nebulizer, or something that will release it into the air. All right, so next category, to further reduce oxidative stress, because we want to reduce that stress. Liposomal glutathione, like I said. So you can use the precursors to allow your body to make it, have the building blocks, but you can actually use it in a liposomal, which means that it's suspended in a fat form, and it actually will go directly into the cell, which is very beneficial. You may have some detox issues. Like if you have any sort of toxicity before this, you might experience like a detox with glutathione. So just be aware of that and look into it, because we don't want to push stuff going too fast, especially if you start off, being toxic and not even knowing it beforehand. So again, I'm always sticking with the stuff I talked about in the second toolkit, the second part of the toolkit, because it's all the safe stuff that you don't really have to get too complicated, in your knowledge base and the knowledge of your own body. You don't have to get too complicated with that. But these are really useful tools if you're kind of beyond that and want to look into something else. Melatonin is the second thing. You can find lots of quality brands. I have an account with Spectrum Supplements in my dispensary. You can find melatonin, but you can find it also with Quicksilver Scientific. You can find high dose. I do have some information on how to find that. So give me a dingle. Actually, no, don't give me a dingle. Email me through my website, and if you need information about that. Additional immune support. Okay, so here are a couple of things that you can do for additional immune support. And actually, it's not even true. I'm lying, because now that I'm looking at my notes, it's all the stuff I've already mentioned, like propolis and essential oils. Okay, moving on. All right, so GI support, I mentioned that already, using a spore biotic. You can use particular strains. One is a possibility, which is HU58. It's a high potency dose of Bacillus subtilis, Bacillus subtilis, and it's formulated to enhance the efficacy of Megaspore biotic. So it's what's their company called? Megaspore. Who makes that? Okay, it's escaping me. So I'm not sure. Oh, Microbiome Labs. Sorry, brain freeze there for a second. So Megaspore biotic with this HU58, good 1-2 punch if you're looking to get a little more detailed in your probiotic protocol. And again, but they also have, like, there are places that you can get dairy-free immunoglobulins that are really good for the immune system and repairing the gut barrier. So and we're going to talk about the GI a little more in the future. But just to put a bug in your ear, that may be part of your immune system arsenal. All right, so in the category of anti-inflammatories, I've already mentioned a few, and I want to just restate that curcumin is a big one. And so but that is one category that you would really need to pay attention to, is to reduce the inflammation. And then there would be some more antiviral supports like iodine, structured silver that I already mentioned. And I mentioned these botanicals such as Chinese skullcap, rosemary, calendula, dandelion, Japanese knotweed, and Andrographis. So what I'm doing here, and essential oils, what I'm doing here is demonstrating that many of these very broad spectrum, heavy hitting botanicals and nutrients have different functions. So they can be an anti-inflammatory as well as an antiviral support, as well as help out with the GI, as well as reduce cytokines, and that inflammatory cascade. They can also reduce oxidative stress. So many of these things have all of those benefits, have all of those effects in the body. All right, so I think that I'm going to end there, because if I get too much into a bunch of other botanicals, it's going to get a little bit overwhelming and potentially confusing. What I do recommend, if you're looking into botanicals and looking into individual supplements, that you do your homework and you go to really reputable spaces. And so that is my advice to you, and do your homework. But if you stay with part 2, you will actually have quite a few tools in your arsenal, and you'll be able to make some really good decisions and some headway into a much more healthy microbiome, and actually hence a much healthier immune system. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. We kept it short and simple, and I hope that you enjoyed the show. So this podcast is sponsored by the Healthy Family Formula, which essentially means that we share our information for free. All we ask is that before you move on to the next 100 things on your to-do list for today, take what you learn, and instead of waiting until Monday, January 1st, or any other arbitrary date in the future, act on it now. Buy that new food, start that new routine, shift into that healthier habit. The little steps steadily move you past the miles you leave behind you. For more information about anything related to family health, and I mean anything, pick up my book, Family Health Revolution, and check out our newsletter, blog, individual and group coaching programs, and practitioner training program. Yes, I teach other people to do the work I do at healthyfamilyformula.com. And you can also like our Facebook page, facebook.com/healthyfamilyformula. facebook.com/healthyfamilyformula. And we've got a bunch of other social media platforms that we have a presence on, including YouTube and Instagram and even Telegram. So just check that out. All the links will be on the website. So thank you for listening, as it was a pleasure to spend this time with you today. May you and your family be well. Please note that Family Health Revolution podcast is not a source for diagnosis or medical treatment, but is the opinion of the host. This podcast is intended to empower people with information so they can make the best health decisions for themselves. It is up to each person to listen to their inner wisdom, consider the information they deem to be accurate and applicable to their individual situation, and consult with their trusted healthcare providers, if they so choose, when making any decisions regarding their own health or the health of their loved ones. Each person's health is their own responsibility.